Hello, beautiful people. I am the right Jason, and today we're going to walk through how you can create a mobile menu in Adobe XD. So let's get into it. What we're going to do is we got a new file here. I just created a blank one. Let's go ahead and get rid of this because we don't need that. Let's select the artboard here, and you've got the shortcuts on the right. Let's not go with Max. Let's go with kind of older gen. That works. Let's undo that. Let's go V on the keyboard. All right, so we want to create a mobile menu, and I don't have any assets prepared for this. Why don't we just do something for, say, Nike? So I'm just going to grab their logo. Okay, and we're going to use the black one here. That is a lot. And basically what I like to do here is start with the logo and get some of the assets in here. But ultimately, this would be prototyped in as an overlay on top of your design. It's the way that I like to do it because I just feel like I have a little bit more flexibility with that. All right, we got the logo in there. Let's change that to black. Perfect. We might see the object back there a little bit. Yeah, it looks pretty clean. All right, let's scale this up. So I typically like to include navigation, the logo, and calls to action and a close button. So let's just make sure we're centered there. Let's get some type, and we'll go ahead and put home, products, sponsorship. Let's do athletes, and we'll do events. That looks good for now. All right, let's change to white. Okay, let's select. Let's get rid of that. Escape. Let's go ahead and delete that typo. All right, so let's scale this so we get some spacing between these elements. So you can see it's already coming to fruition here. Now, we might have some challenges here because these menu items are going to expand. Like Nike just doesn't have a single product, they have many. So we have to keep that in mind. All right, let's zoom out to 100% so we can see the scale of what we got here. Let's go ahead and size these up. Nice and big. And let's see how tall this is, 736, that's fine. Let's bring this Nike logo up more. With Nike and their branding, they're so well known that, you don't have to have the word Nike. You could literally have the swoosh, and that could be your only representation. Just because, again, they're so huge. Now, we want to make an adjustment here, so let's go ahead and this might be a little bit too big. I'm not going to play too much with fonts right now. All right, so we got some starting elements here. Let's get a button. Let's say like that. Take the border off. Center that. Make sure we're good there. Okay. Let's go ahead and round it out. And we'll take a duplicate of this. Let's do new arrivals as a highlight. Now we're not looking at anything else right now. We're not taking a look at some of the other things that might exist in terms of branding and colors. So let's just go ahead and pick something in here that we want to use. That green is pretty fire right there. Okay, let's bold that. Let's make that black. This is very reminiscent of my own style. I have issues. It's okay. Talk about that another time. Right, let's do that. It's too in your face. That's better. I think we probably size that down one. Okay, so we've got the beginnings here. We might change that color. Now the tricky thing is, mobile menu design is kind of tough because right now we've got this logo, we've got this button and navigation, and really it doesn't need to be any sexier than this, but oftentimes we do want it to be a little bit more unique. So let's think about some things we could do. Now, there's no pre-planning here, so everything you're seeing me do is just kind of top of mind. I'm not planning ahead too much on some of these videos just because you aren't necessarily either. sometimes you're thrown into a situation where you just got to figure stuff out, and that can be really challenging, obviously. Okay, so I'm not liking some of the contrast and things that are happening, but these are things that we can address. My usual goal is to just get as much in uh, as I can in terms of elements, and then just kind of start tweaking things, maybe create texture and all that stuff. So we got our navigation, we got that, we need our close button. So let's go ahead and do this. And I like to force caps on that. This is way too big, I know. And let's see if we can just get away with that. That works for now. We can customize that if we want, but let's go ahead and put that up there. Maybe bold. That's all right. And let's just go ahead and grab this screen for now. Okay, so we got a little more stuff here. Let's maybe grab the Nike logo with the word, just so that it feels a bit more complete. And before I do this, I'm going to go ahead and do this a little bit differently. So sometimes I like to make a box here instead and drop the image in there, because then I can crop out things in the way that I want. So in other words, I don't have to do a subtract situation here. I can just do that and not worry about that bottom text that's in there. All right, let's cut that. Let's move this over here because we might use it again anyway. Okay, looking good, looking good, looking good. Now, if you were doing, kind of a basic site design, this might be good enough with where it's at, right? You got like all the elements are here, you got your navigation, and that's pretty much good to go. Now let's just try and stylize this a little bit more. Just see what we could do here to make things a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to open up Noun Project. If you haven't seen me use this yet, it's a great tool to pull some icons. And they have thousands and thousands of icons. It's kind of weird how much that they have in here. So I want to look for new, maybe shop. Okay, I like the little handbag icon there. Let's see what this looks like. What I'm going to do is incorporate that here. Okay, I do like that. I'm going to play with that in a minute. And I think I'll probably do something with this to show that there's more navigation. And that's going to be a little tricky to accomplish, but we'll play with that. So I don't know how I'm feeling about this color here. That just looks so clean like that. Let's drop this down because we don't need that so big. Go ahead and ungroup this. Select. Let's make sure that we are aligned. Let's go ahead and change this to white. Get some of these colors saved up here. Okay, it's looking better, right? That little adjustment there adds a lot. Let's see what we have here if we add a little drop shadow. Now, I know some of y'all are like, oh, drop shadow, cringe. I just, there's a certain element there. Like, look, there's drop shadow here on like 7, but you can't really see it. But you see that like something's happening there because visually you can see that it's sticking out somehow. And it's not too overwhelming, at least not to me. Okay, let's leave that for now. We'll come back. And let's see. So we need to indicate additional navigation here. So what we might do is play with this concept. So let's make a circle. And let's just go a border for now. Keep this sort of lightweight, not too intense. And we'll probably go with that. Let's zoom in. Okay, that border probably gonna end up being too thick, but we'll find out. And we're just gonna do plus icon, and let's size that down a little. Fun thing about this can be a little bit tricky, trying to get these shapes to align correctly. And this is where it's probably gonna be better just to draw the lines. So sometimes you can cheat, sometimes you can't. And let's grab copy, whoops, copy paste. Okay. Now I don't want to lose any length there. All right, that looks good. Let's go ahead and round these guys out. Go white, and then let's shrink that down. Go ahead and group that. Now we can get, I'm going to lock this border in place because we keep selecting it. Okay, now we're looking pretty good. Although that border is probably a little too thick. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's see what we got. So put this here. Let's deselect that. Let's group that. All right. All right, so that could work. Now the question is, where do you put it? And developer will tell you that, honestly, it's going to have to be floated to the right. And you can put it right up against the word, but what happens with that is that it just looks funky. Even this, how this appears right now, doesn't look the best. That's why it may be better to go like this, move that out that way, and center this. And now, you have a little bit more organization here. I kind of like how that looks. I think we could maybe mess with this some more. Maybe get rid of this border and try something else. Because you got to think this is going to be a flyout menu of some kind. It's going to slide out from the right to the left onto your screen. And so we might want to have some unique elements there. And this is where you can kind of sandbox it. And, you have to balance UX and UI because, on the UI front, you could get pretty out of control just because it's fun. We like to do things that are unique. You get that kind of border going there. And maybe there's some other element here. We're at 150 zoom, so things appear really large. Let's go 100. Okay. Now let's just prototype real quick so we can see what we got. All right, so I kind of like that. What I'm going to do is add this to the bottom as well. So let's just take that and rotate it. I want to make sure it's the same size and everything. Let's put that there. That just kind of gives it a cool feeling, sort of a self-contained feeling. Button feels kind of large, but I think it's all right. We got a little space here. I like it though. I'm just going to move that a few pixels. Let's make sure this is centered in this box. Now visually, I think it's a little off center, so we're just going to move that over a tiny bit. And I think that's pretty clean. There's part of me that wants to add a texture back there. We can do that. So let me just grab a texture from the interwebs. Cool, here's one. Yeah, we'll use that. All right, so let's go ahead and make a box. Or better yet, we just copy paste one that we already got. Let's expand that out. Okay. I grab this image, and then we can put that in here. Now, obviously you can't do what I'm doing, which is just sort of rip images from the web. But I just want to show you here. And maybe we can screen this. Do you think we could screen this? Probably not. My goodness, that actually worked. So now you've got this sort of texture here, and with the light and your screen brightness and everything, it might be hard to see if we've got any artifacting going on. It looks pretty good though. And again, we may not leave it like that. You could do all kinds of fun things here. You could You can blur this. Let's see, let's play with the settings a little bit. Yeah, because there's no element behind it, it makes it a little trickier. But we want the brightness to be up so we can see what we're doing here. Yeah, that's not going to do a whole lot for us. Although this like contrasty gray is kind of cool. Let's go ahead and undo that. So anyway, let's say that's the menu. Maybe we change this here, and let's see screen. It doesn't really do a whole lot for us. Let's try overlay. We kind of lose it, so we'll just change that back and leave it there. So now that we have that, let's do a quick box here, and I wasn't going to show this, but we might as well take this step and show you here. Let's bump that up. Probably too big. That's fine. This is just for example's sake anyway. Sometimes Adobe XD doesn't respond to keyboard shortcuts, and so it's just something to keep in mind. I don't think it's really hardware since I'm running a new M1 MacBook. All right, let's get that going. That's good. Let's just copy this, make this quick. Let's just say menu. We'll go ahead and go black. We're a little lazy this time in terms of our symbols or component creations here. That's all right. I just want to show you some of the goodness that we got. Excellent. So what we're going to do is just do a quick prototype. I grouped that up. Let's go ahead and click that, hit the arrow over here and say overlay, and then it should be that artboard, and then it's going to fill that. And what I want to dissolve, slide left, and the rest of that is good. Now over here, just want to make sure that everything's still set here. Adobe XD has this thing, which I understand why it does it, where it auto removes your background on your artboard. So I just turn that back on. Let's go ahead and prototype. Let's bring this up and let's click. There we go. Not too shabby, right? So we got a nice mobile menu there. It's prototyped. And this is something that, you can deploy this whole strategy against any site that you're designing. I don't have to have that texture back there, but this gives you an idea of just some of the things that you could do. Now, obviously, there's more that we could get into. We could start prototyping what it means to click on this, right? And separate these elements and auto-animate those things. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I'm the right Jason, and as always, stay crafty.